Hey guys, Nike here. I want to do an updated overview of the Berserker Elite Specialization from the PvE perspective. The developer Robert G posted the list of changes to the Berserker following the second beta weekend event, and while not many of the changes are relevant to PvEers, the ones that are potential game changers for the status of this profession. We'll start with the Condi build first, since it's the obvious focus. In Beta Weekend 2, the Condi Warrior with Sword, Torch, plus Longbow was a definite upgrade over the existing Condi spec in the game as it is, but relative to the exceptionally good Condi specs for Ranger and Engineer, it still left much to be desired. That said, in a group environment, the Sword, Torch, Longbow build had the potential to equal the damage done to the direct damage build after about 25 seconds of ramp-up time. Obviously, it doesn't have nearly the utility of the Meta-Phalanx build, but at least from a DPS perspective, you aren't totally gimped. The main buffs we're getting is Torch 4 is hitting twice per use and gains some additional condition duration on the burning. This is going to go a long way to counter the nerf of the duration of the burn that we get from the Torch 5. I consider that these are likely going to be a wash in terms of overall DPS. However, the big boost is the duration of the burns on the Sword Primal Burst being doubled from 1 second base to 2. This is huge in PvE. Fully buffed, that means we'll get 8 stacks of burning for 4 seconds every 5 or so seconds while we're in Berserk mode. This will be a huge DPS increase for us and help counter the long ramp-up time that Condi build has in terms of DPS. All in all, the Condi Warrior is looking quite viable for solos or in cases where you're the second warrior in your group. For the meta power build, people really wanted the Berserker trait line to replace arms. Based on the last beta weekend, that really wasn't going to happen. We tested several DPS rotations, and none of them really held a candle to arms. The biggest issue was when you weren't in Berserk mode, which was about 50% of the time, your DPS was very significantly worse than the arms build. This created sort of a feast or famine situation with the DPS, which meant that your overall DPS was a bit lower than ARMS, lacking a lot of consistency, and lacking a lot of the utility that ARMS brings. A second problem was that without ARMS, it was challenging to maintain Berserker's power when you weren't in Berserk mode. A third problem was that the Primal Burst for the Greatsword was extremely weak compared to Arcing Slice. The first change that helps us out is the buff to Always Angry. When Berserk ends, your next attack will give you a full bar of adrenaline. That's 10 strikes. This will go a long way towards helping to maintain Berserker's power while Berserk mode is down. The second is the change to the trait Smash Brawler. This trait reduces the cooldown of Berserk mode from 15 seconds to 10 seconds. While this technically only increases your uptime in Berserk by 10%, it vastly will facilitate in maintaining Berserker's power outside of Berserk, but will also get us back into that Berserk portion of our DPS where our DPS skyrockets through the roof. And lastly, the increased attack speed of Berserk was changed from 10 to 15%. While this isn't as huge a boost in terms of DPS as it might seem, since a warrior's greatsword is limited by the cooldown of its best skills and not really by its attack speed, it's a welcome addition. All in all, these changes will come together along with a DPS rotation including Headbutt to allow Berserker to compete with ARMS for the job of Phalanx Warrior. We still have another beta weekend to test all this and another round of changes after that before launch, so we cannot conclude right now if Berserker will be meta, but the chances are significantly higher now and are moving in the right direction. So we are looking good with both the Condi and the direct damage build, and hopefully after this next beta weekend they don't nerf anything too badly, and maybe they'll give us even a few more buffs and make it a foregone conclusion. So that is basically it, guys. I thank you guys for watching this video. If you have any questions or any comments about the state of the Berserker after this last beta weekend and the changes that they've announced, please let me know, and I will be happy to respond and listen to any points you guys bring up. Thank you guys so much, and talk to you soon.